Good morning. Mkwapi na mnasikiza mkiwa wapi? 0700917917. Today, we are diving into a different conversation today. A career debate. Should you stay loyal to one company, or is job hopping the smarter move? Now, there's a video that is on TikTok, and this caught my attention, that it suggests that moving from job to job can actually get you a bigger pay rise than waiting years for a promotion. Now, is that really the reality? Is it the best strategy for your career? Joining us today is Olive Ngoe. She's the operations lead officer at Save Skills Limited. She's a career coach who helps professionals navigate career growth and tough workplace decisions. Welcome to the show, Olive.
Thank you so much, Miriam. I am privileged to be here. It's an honor and a good opportunity. And to all our listeners and those who are streaming live, habari zenu and karibuni to the conversation that we are going to be having today. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to the topic.
Thank you.
Delving into it.
Yeah, we're looking forward to dissecting it. So let's just begin. We've seen that conversation of that lady talking about job hopping, moving from one to the next.
Yes.
And from your experience as a career coach, is it true in the Kenyan context that when you move from one job to the next, then you stand a chance of pay rise haraka?
Mm-hmm. Okay, interesting. Let me start by saying that from Save Skills Limited, what we do is to empower people to grow with clarity, to lead with confidence, and build what lasts.
All right.
Whatever it is in whether you're pursuing business, entrepreneurship, in leadership, or in your personal career progress, we help you do that with clarity. Mm-hmm. Now, there is a truth to it that when you do not stay too long in one position, you're able to sort of learn quickly and navigate opportunities quicker. Mm-hmm. But at Save Skills, what we say is exactly what are you looking for? Because when we narrow it down to just pay, because a lot of us will get into the job market and take the next check. Yeah. If you can get a bigger check, well and good. But are those aligned to who you are? Are they aligned to your strengths, to your values, to the long-term goals that you have? Because we have had cases of people who, yes, they have hoped from one job to the next and they have a good paycheck, but they're depressed. What they're doing is not aligned to who they really are. And they're not getting a lot of satisfaction or adding value in their position after the initial excitement of the pay. So at Save Skills, what you are looking at is who are you and how do you want to grow so that you are a whole person. You're not just chasing after a paycheck, which is good, but is it ultimately all that there is to life?
Okay.
Yes.
So you're looking at who you are.
Yes.
So if you're looking at an organization, let's say I've been in this company for, say, 10 years.
Yes.
Right? Is it easier to negotiate? And I think I've heard such stories and even an experience where when you stay in an organization longer, when you even go and negotiate and try, say, I need a pay rise, most times it's insignificant. Mm-hmm. And so you find that if you were to move to organization B, let's say if organization B were hiring, let's say Hapa, you're just asking for a pay rise of, let's say, 10K, right?
Yes.
And you've stayed there 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, nothing. Even when it happens, fine, they give you like 5K. But then when you move to the next organization, you find that they even double what you're getting.
Exactly.
So if we're looking at those dynamics, why is it hard? Why is it difficult? And look at the organization. Why do organizations find it hard to remunerate the people that are skilled and work within? And also when they hire a new person, you find that most times they offer double for that particular role.
It is not hard. It begins with knowing who you are.
Okay.
If you're not able to negotiate for your salary, it means even the people who you're working with have noticed that either you're not able to communicate your value well, and therefore they take advantage of you. And this is why we insist that you begin from the point of know yourself. When you're getting into the job market, what are your strengths? what are your values and what are your long-term goals, so that when you're going in, even from the first year, you begin to ask yourself, am I growing where I am? Are my values and long-term goals aligned with what I am doing now? And where do I see myself in the next 2 to 3 years? If I continue in the role that I am in the way that I am doing it, am I going to be moving closer to my dreams? Am I going to be moving closer to achieving the goals that I want? So that you don't stay somewhere for 10 years and then one day wake up and you want to make a change. And that is why for us, we insist on career intentionality.
Okay.
It means building your career growth deliberately, planning for it. When you're going from Mombasa to Nairobi on a journey, of course, it might not be a linear progression. You might encounter accidents. You might have a flat tire. Sometimes you might have to pass through the bush because maybe the road is under construction. But ultimately, you know where you're going.
Yeah.
And therefore, if you get into the job market with a deliberate plan, this is who Olive is. She knows what she's about. These are her strengths, her values, her long-term goals. Then even from year one, you can decide this is the place where I want to grow. There is opportunity for me to grow to where I'm going to. Or if it is not working, then now make a strategic shift.
Okay, so Olive, talk to that person who's in an organization and they feel like, fine, my skills, I've put in the work. I'm still putting in the work, right? But I also feel like my role is growing.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
And so the pay that I started, that I initially started with is not what I should be getting at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Could you walk this person through negotiating for a pay rise as they go to HR or even as they go to their management?
Yes.
What steps should they take?
Again, intentionality, even before you get to that negotiating table.
Yeah.
Do people know what you're doing?
Yeah.
Is it visible? Are you talking about it? Are you blowing your own trumpet? I know in our society, there's this thing that you should be humble, you should not talk, people should see what you're doing. But in this day and age, you're talking about self-promotion, visibility. It means if you've been there for 1 or 2 years, there are a few things that you have achieved. Are you documenting your successes?
Okay.
Are you getting involved in projects, maybe even cross-functional projects in departments, so that people can see the value that you bring? Are you creatively solving problems, offering solutions to the organizations? When you go for meetings, are you complaining, or are you a person who shows up as a creative problem solver? So that when you are documenting these things and when you're showing up, then they are aware of your value. And when you get to that negotiating table and you feel that you deserve a pay rise, you're able to show the value that you have added. Then it is easier for someone to, the statistics will be there. You've been walking through this and you have your data.
Yeah.
And when you present them to your employer, it will be, because they have also seen you and they've heard you talking about it, it will not be something that they can deny. And therefore, they'll either tell you yes or no. And when they tell you no, why we discourage saying job hopping is that you don't immediately jump. If your employer will not support your career growth, then begin to make plans. How now do I shift from this organization to the next opportunity? So that you're planning yourself. Sometimes we hope jobs because of urgency, maybe the pay is better, but we have not exactly planned. But if you have the data, the facts to show that you have been working and adding value, few employers will discredit that or will try to say you have not done it when you have your facts straight.
Okay.
Yes.
So still on that, for somebody, so you go to your employer and they say no. Okay. And most times people get out of that and they're jilted, they're angry, they're like, but I'm putting in the work, and your work is seen, like you said, your work has to be seen, right? So some people will get out of that and start looking.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And start putting in plans. Some people will go back and again feel like either they don't deserve it or do extra again and still go back to the employer and ask. What would you speak to that? give it like a year and still go back, or give it like 6 months and still go back and ask?
So if you have been told a no,
Yeah.
and you know that you deserve and it's time for a move, do not settle.
Okay.
Because again, settling means that you are doing your work below par. You're coming in with the negative emotions. Go through the negative emotions. No rejections, we don't take them well. So go through the emotions and then sit down and strategize your next move. Your next move requires that you just don't hope. And that is why it is good to get a mentor or a coach who will talk you through it.
Yeah.
Okay, this is what you want to do. You feel that you deserve to move to this position or get this pay rise. So how do you do it? And this is where now you need to be, when you get your job, remember that apart from the 9 to 5, build your skills, build your networking skills, build your communication and adaptability skills, so that when it is time now that you feel it is time for a change, you are able to navigate that change in a way that leaves a positive impression. If you must move, then begin to plan your move. And at some point when you feel that you're ready to transition, let your boss know in a good way, live in a good way. You know, it's not this thing that we hear. A lot of Gen Zs have been accused about this. You wake up one day and you say, this is not for me.
Yeah.
And I'm moving. See you. Bye, boss.
Yes.
Remember, the world is tunasema ni mviringo. Today, the same person who you have left with a negative impression might need to either give you a recommendation letter, or might know your next boss, or might meet you in a place where the opportunities depend on them.
Yeah.
So live in a way that be firm about it after you have prepared yourself. But if you need to leave, then leave if there's no opportunity that is serving you in that organization. Okay. But knowing where you're going, I have built my skills. This is the position I'm looking for. This is the kind of pay that I'm looking for. And through your networking circles, you have been introduced to opportunities.
Yeah.
You have applied for those opportunities. Or even if it might mean for you to give your skills through volunteerism. There are very many ways we can get to the next position. Find out how can you move to your next position and then plan for it, but then move with courage. Yes.
Olive.
Yes.
Mimi swali langu ni rahisi sana.
Hapa
ni kama una discourage mtu kutumia kigezo cha hela.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Na sehemu kubwa ya sisi, sijui wewe, ya sisi including mimi, tunaweka hela kama kigezo. Now, tukiondoa kigezo cha hela, ni kigezo gani kama vile Miriam ambavyo amesema, umeenda umeomba ukaambiwa ukakaa akasema miezi 6 ukarudi wakasema so ni vigezo gani ambavyo utatumia now that unataka kwenda to the next step?
Yes.
Mahali hapo unaona umefika maturity lakini haukui tena. Na unataka kwenda. Ni vigezo gani utatumia ili ukienda kule kwengine usistagnate? Yes.
Okay. Si kusema kigezo cha hela si muhimu. Money is important.
Okay.
And money is very good. Actually. Very good. But if it is not the first factor.
Okay.
Yes, you might have stagnated and you want more money. But the apart from money, what is the first thing? The most important thing, remember, is you. This resource called Salim, this person called Olive, they are my strengths. They are my values. They are my dreams that I am going for. There's the kind of work environment that I want. And of course, there is the money. But I'm telling you, consider all this as a totality. Because if you go to a different workplace and you have more money and your boss is toxic and the culture is wrong for you, then what is that? Are you getting yourself in a better position. So when you're going out, money is very important, but it is not the only factor. You're looking at who you're becoming as a whole. Who is this Salim? Akona safari, long-term goals, that is.
Yes.
Who does he want to become? What kind of environment will allow that to show up? So that when you're moving, you have done your research. That the next organization that you want to go to, how are the people there? What is the work culture? What kind of leadership do they have? Will they allow me to fully express myself the way I want to? Because someone will tell you, okay, I'm giving you a salary increase. Shut up and do the work. Don't ask me. I don't want any of your ideas. Is that the kind of environment that you want to go into? And so you're looking at your whole growth as a person, plus the money.
Oh,
yes.
Now, I was having a discussion na jamaa fulani na akasema experience ya kazi. Of course, ukienda kutafuta job ambao uko na experience ya miaka mingapi? That's a normal question kwenye hii field ya organizations. Akasema experience si kufanya kazi sehemu moja kwa muda mrefu, miaka 10, 15, 7. Experience ni kwamba leo umefanya kazi hapa mwaka 1.5, miaka 2, lakini ukaenda sehemu nyingine ukafanya. That one shows that wewe umegrow.
Yes.
Ama sijui ndio kwa to grow, whatever.
Yeah.
So what is experience? Na is that experience as in kama mahali pamoja watu wanasema ni experience, mwingine anasema hiyo si experience, but working in some different organizations also that now is experience.
Now, different employers, of course, they are people, and they take experience differently. There are those who see that if I have on my CV 1, 2, 3, 4 positions that I've worked in 4 different places, that is good experience for them. There are others who will see someone who has worked in an organization in the same position steadily for 5 years as experience. There are others who will want to see within this organization, how have you grown within it? But I think the biggest and most important thing is the value that you bring to the table. And exactly knowing what it is. Because you can stay within the organization for 10 years, but you have grown. You came in as maybe a cashier, for example.
Yes.
Let's talk about the experience of a bank.
Okay.
You came in as a cashier and you realized that this is not where you want to be. And you have worked your way through maybe the sales department in the same organization. From the sales department, your long-term goal, let's say, was to work in human resource. And then you have volunteered in projects within the company, and somehow you have added to your skills human resource. Maybe you went to go to school, got a diploma, and then ended up in HR. That is still experience, depending on the job and its demands, because every job description, remember, you are selling yourself. What is it that you can do? What have you done in the past? So it is the way that you are able to align with what that company wants. So it's not necessarily hopping from one job to another. Different employers. In fact, there are employers who will ask you, how come you're not stable? Why is it that in year 1 you are here, year 2 you're there, year 4 you're there? Does it mean you cannot hold down a job? Does it mean that you cannot get along with your teammates? Maybe you're not a team player. So different employers will interpret that differently. But then again, it is how you align yourself and how you're able to communicate. Maybe for you could say that I have been job hopping because I am working towards my long-term goals are this and that, 1, 2, 3. And at this company, I was able to get this kind of experience. And at this company, I was able to get this kind of experience. So that you're not showing up as an unsteady person. You're able to explain why you're going through all those job descriptions. Or if you stay in 5 years in one company, you're saying, yes, I stayed here in 5 years, and these are the kind of learnings that I took. These are the kind of projects that I engaged myself in, so that you're also, even though you stayed 5 years in that company, your growth was diverse. You added to yourself more skills. So how you explain that is what will determine how the employer will take you. So you prepare for that.
All right, then.
Yeah.
We are talking to Olive Ngoe. She's the Operations Lead Officer, Skills Limited. We're looking at our career, and if a move is better or if staying in a career longer is better for you. Do you have a question? There are people who will stay in a job 3 years, move to the next.
Yes.
Another 3 years, move to the next. And they're collecting, right? They're learning from the different organizations. And then there's somebody who will stay in a job, one job, 24 years, 15 years. If we're looking at these two, and I know you've talked about lateral growth, like you can grow within the organization.
Yes.
Would you advise somebody to stay in a job environment longer? Or can it be like it's here and this is it? Would you advise somebody to do that? And I've said 3 years because I know I'll come back to the ones that there are people who after 1 year are moving on to the next. 1 year are moving on to the next.
Yes.
But 3 years also, there's a level of you're learning, you're growing,
Yes.
you're developing a skill, right? And then either you're poached by an organization.
Yes.
Yes. So speak to these two.
Now, on that, I will talk about self-awareness. Actually, I have a personal story.
Yeah.
I remember in my second job, I took a position on the role of a cashier.
Okay.
And now in one of the established banks, we were working in Thika. And I remember when I went for that job, I actually had it in mind that I had put for myself 4 years max in the role of a cashier. And that because my eventual goal was to end up in human resource department and training, especially that is a passion that I have, training and helping people to unlock their potential. Now, when I went for this job, something interesting happened. I met someone, a colleague who had been in the same position for 16 years. And to say the truth, even their countenance was not engaging. They looked bored with the work that they were doing. They knew the work that they were doing. They were very good at it.
Yeah.
But they even looked bored. When you are not self-aware, it is easy to stay in the same position for years. And that is why self-awareness is so crucial.
Yeah.
In our an African proverb says that when the root knows the water, the tree will grow without fear. But if it does not know, and I looked at this person every day, they came to the job, they looked bored. We used to crack jokes and he will not even laugh. Not that you have to laugh, but he was just not engaging. And for me, I saw that as a lack of growth. They were not enjoying life. They were not exploring. They were not creating. They were not looking at what next. And it helps to do that because it keeps you growing. And for this person, they stagnated, but they were not aware. And that is why self-awareness is crucial. Who am I and where am I going? What do I want in life? What are my values? There's contentment, but if we are not careful, then we can stagnate because we are not reaching for all that we are. And that is why you will find there's someone who at 65, they're starting a degree because they have found a new channel of growth and they want to explore more. And you keep it nice, you keep it fresh, your countenance is engaging, your mind is alert. And I remember one thing that happened at the end of 3 years and 8 months in that position. From year 2, I started engaging and forming networks and finding out how could I move, because there were also internal job positions. And I kept on applying. But then I realized that someone whispered to me that, if you're a very good cashier, they're not willing to let you go. So they will keep you there. And I looked at myself and I remembered the promise I'd made to myself that I would not stay beyond 4 years. So at 3 years and 8 months, when a position, the next opportunity arose, I had prepared for it. I was ready. And I moved with courage because I knew what I was looking for. I moved out of that organization. And it has helped me to then travel that journey and be where I am today. So if you're stagnated and you're not aware, it is dangerous. Then you're not growing. And it will show up in even how you do your job. You will wake up in the morning, you're not greeting people. You meet with a client and they greet you, and straight away they can see from your face you do not love what you're doing.
Yeah.
It will be apparent.
Yeah.
So it is good to grow, whether within the organization or even to other opportunities externally. It is good to grow and explore all that you are as a person.
I like that.
Yes.
And what should someone look out for if you've been in a career for some time?
Yes.
What should someone look out for, and to be able to note and identify that now it's time for me to move?
Yes.
Right? What are some of the things that we see that we do normally, and you're thinking, now either I've outgrown this position, and once you notice that, what should one start putting in place?
So signs to know that it's time for transition.
Yeah.
Number one is stagnation, like you have rightly pointed out.
Yeah.
You have realized that it's time for me to move. Maybe it's time for me to get a raise and to get better opportunities or to lead a bigger team.
Yeah.
But despite all your efforts, you're stagnated. Like what Salim was saying, you come in 6 months and you present your wishes to your employer and they say no. 1 year, they say no. Then you know that it is time to move when you're stagnating there. The other thing is lack of challenge. When you feel that you know your job inside out and it no longer presents a challenge for you, there is nothing new that you're learning. There's no more value that you're adding. Then it is time to stretch yourself. As human beings, we are like rubber bands. There's the law of the rubber band that John Maxwell talks about. That the if you want to grow, then you have to stretch. A rubber band only finds its usefulness when it is stretched. Then it can hold together more things. So when you realize there is a lack of a challenge in your growing, then it's time to move. The other thing is when there's a mismatch of values. For example, your first, second job might not be all that. We all start from somewhere, and that is the reality. It might not be what you're looking for. But for example, let's say you are in sales and you do a lot of traveling. And for you, family and being present for your partner or your spouse and your children is something that is very important. Yeah. Your first and second job, you might say, okay, I'm starting from somewhere. Let me take this sales job and I travel to Moyale, to Mombasa, I'm in Nairobi, I'm in this way. And it goes like that. But then you begin to ask yourself, if being present in my family is a value that I hold dear, then how do I move from now a job that requires for me to travel to a position that will help me to be more present in my family? So if there's a mismatch of values and you feel strained with that, then it is time to move to the next opportunity. And then constant stress without learning is one of the other signs that it is time to transition. Yeah. Maybe it is a toxic work culture and we are always dealing, that these organizations and some employers who you're always on a deadline. It's like you're in the emergency room of a hospital. ICU. Everything is a deadline.
Yeah, it's an emergency, man.
And you're working on caffeine. I mean, you're working on steroids. I mean, thin air, and you're always tired.
Yeah.
And Salim, you're laughing like you have experience.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, you've been through that.
Yes.
Yeah,
And if it's just chronic stress,
yeah,
then that is an environment that you want to be out of, because again, you might be working for a good paycheck, like we were saying, and you're taking that paycheck to the hospital.
Oh,
you're battling depression, you're battling anxiety, and you're nervous all the time. Maybe people are sabotaging each other, and that's a culture that is encouraged. Then you know that it is time to move.
Yeah.
Now, when you realize that it is time for you to transition, then you plan a strategic shift, like we began with saying, and this requires confidence and preparation. It's often said, and it is true, that luck is opportunity meeting preparation. So you begin asking yourself, what if it is about the pay? What kind of pay do I want? What kind of environment do I want to work in? What does my next role look like? And that is where, as a coach and a mentor, can add value to that journey because they will walk you through it and help clarify what is my purpose, what is my true purpose, what am I chasing, how does it look like, how will that play out, and then begin to build your skills. If it means that, for example, for the hard skills, and you want to move a pay grade above, research what will this new role entail, what might be required of me that I do I have those skills now, do I not have them, and then maybe say, like we were saying, give yourself 6 months to a year or even maybe 2 and say, maybe I need to go back to college and learn this and that and pick up a few skills. If it is about how you will negotiate your next salary, learn communication skills. Begin to then document. What have I done? What value have I added? And remember, when you're speaking of value, you want to show your next employer or the next opportunity, this is the kind of change that I've brought. When I came in, it was at this level. It has increased by this percentage. So you're beginning to get your facts straight. You're beginning to gather your data. And then adaptability. When we talk of adaptability, sometimes when you want to go to the next step, it is like when you have a bow and an arrow, you may have to push it back for you to go further. If I am going into a space that I want to grow and maybe the role that I'm looking for is not available, am I willing to start at a lower pay grade but knowing where I am going? Am I willing to take a pay cut or a role cut? It might not be necessarily pay. I know that's a sensitive issue. And I remind our listeners, money is important. But might it mean that I start at a lower role so that I am able to gain access to the company that I am looking forward to working and then growing from there because I know where I'm going? Adaptability might also mean if your organization has opportunities within and they encourage growth, then being adaptable means if they're cross-functional projects, am I willing to volunteer in those projects and learn so that people can see the value? You know, some of us sometimes go into the workspace and because I was told this is my role, I keep to that.
You keep to that.
I learn nothing else.
Yeah.
When there are opportunities for people to learn something new or to volunteer, I do not volunteer. I do not learn. Maybe the only part, and then I don't make friends. Because the other important thing that you need is networking. How will you know of your next opportunity? Sometimes we say, oh, life is unfair. There are people who get more brown envelopes. But relationships, are you building relationships that will help you to move to your next position? Because it might be the client that you work with every day who will one day tell you, by the way, I've heard of this. There are these people who are doing this and I think you're good. Do you know there's some employees who have been poached by clients? And it is because they realize the value that you add. But if you're not building relationships and you're not networking, how will you be able to know the opportunities that are there? The next thing is building your communication skills. You want to negotiate your salary. You want a higher pay grade. You want to negotiate for a better position. Are you able to communicate this in a clear way? Have you gathered your data so that when you're in front of them, you're not just complaining and whining, you know, I've been here for 10 years and I've always done well. What does well mean?
I think
is it a percentage?
We get very personal. Like we put emotions. We put emotions there.
When money comes.
And at times, and before you continue about, you talk about when to know to move. There are times somebody has stayed in an organization for 10 years and for them they feel like, but I've given you 10 years and this is value. However, the organization feels like for this 10 years I've not seen like enough value from you to be able to even want to give you a raise. So there's certain mistakes that we make. So I like when you say that, understand the value that you're bringing to an organization, and also think what I'm picking is document.
Exactly.
Because then when you document, you're able to go back and say, this is what I've done. These are the things that I've been doing for the 10-year period. So you cannot come here and say that I've not been doing anything. Anyway, continue.
And then the next thing is problem-solving skills. that you want to be a person who, yes, things are bad. You might not like your current situation, but are you showing up as a person who thinks creatively and has problem-solving skills? Because that is what will draw your next employer or even the person who you're looking for that next raise to you. Are you a person who creatively solves problems instead of whining or even complaining? Because if you're able to solve problems, you will always get opportunities. Actually, what is entrepreneurship? A person who has seen an opportunity and they are able to create solutions that help them and help the people around them.
Yeah.
So are you a problem solver? So that even when you're moving, it's not at your next boss is looking at you. Let's say you're moving within an organization and you're looking for a certain position, and your next potential employer or your boss is looking at you and say, hey, ni ule wa kucomplain sayote ni hii mbaya nini, and they can only see the wrong things.
Yeah, where's the solution?
Yes, so what solutions are you bringing to the table? Or are you that wet blanket that whatever you see is wrong, whatever you see is this? Because you might be in a toxic culture, yes, but you still try to create solutions. And even if they are not accepted, someone somewhere has noted that you are a problem solver.
Yeah.
And even when you move externally, you are still able to keep that positive thinking, positive attitude kind of person.
All right.
Then it becomes easy to move.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I think, Olive, you have said a lot of things today that we've picked. We're learning. We're going to do better as we negotiate, right? And as we job hope, right? So lastly, from somebody who's listening in right now, how can they evaluate whether it's the right time? And I think we've already had the conversation around the right time to stay and right time to move.
Yes.
What would you tell somebody who's thinking of career growth and they honestly feel stuck?
If you feel stuck, I would advise you to share your problem. A problem that is shared is half solved. Get a mentor, get a coach, go for a training. And that is what we do at Serve Skills. Talk to them, let them work it out and draw this map you have in your head, because sometimes we know what we want, but we cannot articulate it unless then someone sits us down and they probe what is in our mind. So if you feel stuck, talk to someone. And it is good to get even mentors and coaches within your organizations. Once you get employed, don't think about it singularly and concentrate on your role. The mistake we make is that we think singularly. So every day I come to work, I do my job, I go home. I come to work, I do my job and go home. Get to know someone senior in the organization who has worked. Get a mentor from there. If you cannot get a mentor from within your organization or a coach, get one externally, invest so that they help you with that journey, for you to clarify, to be able to clarify your purpose, for you to, and then to be able to move intentionally. Because what we encourage is being deliberate about how you're moving. If you're feeling stuck, first talk to someone so that you know where the problem is. Sometimes you feel stuck and maybe it is you who has not explored all the options.
Yeah.
And what happens when you're feeling stuck, it also comes with a lot of emotion. So we have a narrow view of the problem that we are facing. But once you are able to air it out, then from a different perspective, someone will be able to help you solve that.
All right. Thank you so much, Olive. We've been speaking to Olive Ngoe, Operations Lead Officer from Serve Skills Limited. Where is Serve Skills located?
Serve Skills Limited is located in Ratna Square, Nyali, at Close the Gap Hub.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, then you heard it. You have any questions, you know where to find Olive. We'll be right back. Good morning.